Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Good afternoon. May we please have a roll call? I'm sorry, the time is 3:07.
I can't see that far.
Yeah. And then Darren or Supervisor McDaniel, there's nobody else in your room, correct?
Correct.
And then can you turn your camera on, please?
I was waiting for the meeting to start, and we had a confirmation that we had a quorum. And for the record, my bed is made.
Thank you, and thank you for turning your camera on. That's a pretty scary picture, but I appreciate it. So at this point, we will have an invocation. Is everybody?
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Director Espinoza, Director Hogue, Director Smith,
Present.
Director McDaniel,
Present.
Director Samra,
Present.
Director Nagy,
Present.
Director Nelson, Director Pereira, Director Silvera, Director Yanes,
Here.
Chair Pedroso.
Here.
We do not have a quorum.
Okay, at this point, we will, is there anybody that would like to lead an invocation? Okay. Then please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, we're going to skip over item number 2 for the moment, and we'll go into item 3, which is public comment. Public comment is now open for anyone to speak on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. And do we have anyone in the room today who would like to comment? Anybody else? No, I'm just kidding.
Good afternoon, Chair Pedroso, Board. Cristian Santos here again representing the Office of Congressman John Duarte. The Congressman absolutely enjoyed spending a lot of time in the respective communities commemorating Veterans Day and honoring our nation's veterans for their service and sacrifice from Los Banos to Merced, Atwater, and Livingston. I just wanted to go ahead and give some lay of the land regarding Washington and the budget negotiations that have been ongoing this week. As you know, the prior deadline was November 17th, and there was a discussion of a laddered CR that would push back the the budget deadline for certain parts of the federal government, some to January 19th and some to February 2nd. It did come up to a vote on the floor of the House of Representatives, and our office has released the following statement. Congressman Duarte voted for the continuing resolution to keep our government open and working on behalf of the American people. A government shutdown would have disrupted many federal programs that everyday Americans rely on, including vital services to our veterans. Now, we have time to continue our appropriations process through regular order for a fiscally responsible budget that will put our nation back on the right track. This CR has now passed through the Senate, and it's on its way to the President's desk, and we'll be, of course, sure to keep our constituents informed of any updates in this process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? And do we have anybody, have we received any public comments by phone or email, or do we have anyone who wishes to provide any other comment
There's
through Zoom?
no public comments received in advance, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so number 4. Okay, item number 4 is reports and presentations, and we have 2, and we will start with the Citizens Advisory Committee report, which will be provided by Renee Gutierrez. Renee.
Good afternoon, Chair and governing board members. So the Citizens Advisory Committee met Friday, November 3rd. We had quorum. We were all in person, which was great to see. So staff presented the MCAG and TGPA action, information, and discussion items to the committee members. All action items were approved as presented by staff. Items that generated discussion included the 2024 RTIP program, the regional housing planning update, and the monthly update for the Joint Powers Authority. And we're happy to answer any questions, but thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Gutierrez? Okay. Thank you, sir. We now have Mr. Nelson joining us. All right, we're going to move on to Caltrans report. Do we have a representative from Caltrans in the room or online?
Good afternoon, Chair Pedroso and members of the board. My name is Grace Magsayo. I am the Deputy District Director for Program Project Management and Asset Management in District 10. I also have Tom Dumas on the line to provide more detailed updates. I am here today representing my District Director, Dennis Agar. First of all, he sends his regrets for not being able to be here. He actually had planned to be here today. Unfortunately, he has family commitments that he needed to tend to. So my report, and I'm not sure if the news has gotten to the board. Okay, Stacy's, Executive Director Stacy's not nodding yes. So I will be sharing with you this afternoon that Dennis Agar has announced his retirement. His last day with the department is December 22nd. He wanted me to share with this board how appreciative he is of the continued and true partnership he has experienced the last few years as District Director in District 10. And he looks forward to that continued partnership. May not be from the seat he's in now, but a spectator, but he really is proud of everything we've been able to do here in Merced County. As another bit of news, Marlon Regisford, I believe the news have gone out. We are his replacement. We are working actively to recruit and bring someone on as an interim. But as the short interim, Tom Dumas has graciously agreed to step into that role. And as a result of some discussions that the district and MCAG staff has had the last couple of weeks regarding the gap closure projects in Merced County on State Route 99. The district, or actually my staff, is working with our headquarters partners to put together or to identify a funding source. We're hoping that we could put together a state-sponsored update on those two scoping documents that were created several years ago, so that those two projects will be ready for potential funding for the next phase should that opportunity come up. I hope to be able to share more information in the next quarter at our Executive Steering Committee meeting with MCAG. And lastly, we want to extend our thank you and gratitude to Executive Director Guzman and her staff at MCAG, Merced County Public Works, and the City of Merced. We have been working with them to identify a potential plan to accelerate the ongoing construction work on Merced 99 through the City of Merced. Earlier this week, I believe agreement has been had on a way to accelerate the work by expanding our currently approved work windows from 12 hours to 15 hours, and maybe even potentially do some long-term 55-hour closures in order to accelerate the project and be able to open up the highway back to the public in a safe manner. So we really appreciate the quick response our team received from all the agencies and offices in Merced County, and we look forward to really being able to complete that project and deliver it to the state, not just the City of Merced or County, but to generally to the state of California, as Merced 99 is one of the lifeblood of the state. With that, I would like to pass this along to Tom Dumas. He's got more specific updates for you, and I will be here, and Tom will be here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Grace. Hi, everybody. Just a few quick notes. Recently, Caltrans signed a historic $80 million contract with Stadler Rail to deliver the first zero-emission hydrogen intercity passenger trains in North America. That's furthering California's standing as a world leader in clean transportation. The purchase is funded through Governor Newsom's historic $10 billion multi-year zero-emission vehicle package. It also included $407 million of CalSTA funds to demonstrate and to purchase these state-of-the-art rail cars and also buses. Caltrans also has this past October awarded another $115 million in Clean California grants to cities and local agencies. The grants are a key part of the governor's Clean California program, and that was a sweeping $1.2 billion multi-year commitment by Caltrans to help clean up trash and create thousands of jobs and help the community. And lastly, I would like to remind the cities and the counties and the COG of the Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program. Our applications are out. Attended a workshop we had here in the district, and there was a state workshop also. But there are three types of grants available. There's Climate Adaptation Planning Grant, Strategic Partnership Grant, and the Sustainable Communities grants. There's going to be about $53 million total. There's $31 million of the climate adaptation grants, and we're urging everyone to look at their projects and see if they can apply for those funds. Last year, we approved every grant application for climate adaptation. So if you need any help with those or have any questions, please contact me. I will be glad to assist you, or you can go on to our web. But again, those deadlines are January 18th, and I would urge everyone to call and set up a time, and we'd be glad to go over your applications before time to make sure everything's good to go. With that, I'll turn it back over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions?
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So thank you for the presentation. I haven't met you guys. I'm Shane Smith. I'm representing the city of Merced today. It's my city that can't get on and off 99 downtown, and we provide the emergency medical services when there's crashes in your tunnels. I appreciate Stacy and Josh playing good cop, bad cop with you guys, but we read the op-ed a week ago. I wonder if you can give this board an update as to what has actually changed in a week to make it safer, to make this project move faster. I heard planning, and I'll tell you, I saw that a 55-mile-an-hour sign is now 45, but people are still passing me at 65, 70 miles an hour.
So what has changed to date, in the last couple of weeks, we've increased COZEEP, which is our CHP presence, and I believe they've actually kept track of citations that they were handing out to make sure that the 45 mile per hour speed limit is followed and the trucks are staying within the right lane. So that has been in effect. What we do plan to do is, as I mentioned, is to implement a 15-hour work window for our contractor. Currently, what's allowed is 12 hours. And so we're still negotiating with the contractor. There will be costs added to it, as with the expanded windows. There are added costs. However, we believe that that's going to be, it's a matter of the process of getting it approved. We do have some internal process we have to undergo to get approvals for those extended closures. So the first one we're pursuing is a 15-hour closure. So if you can imagine, that's going to increase the efficiency of the work. And our goal is to complete the work sooner than what we have on paper right now, because what we have on paper right now on our critical schedule or critical path schedule is a 12-hour window. And however we can make it happen with the proper planning, we're also trying to actively consider a 55-hour work window, where we do a full closure of 99 through the city of Merced and have our contractor get in there, do as much work as possible within that 55-hour window. In addition to that, we're also there's a plan to implement some positive, not barriers, but some positive measures to remind drivers that there is an upcoming construction zone. Some of those measures we're looking at are what we call transverse rumble strips, or some type of a rumble strip, if you imagine the ones that you see on the shoulder, the edge of the shoulder, something similar to that, that will provide some positive reminder to each driver approaching the construction zone that it is a construction zone and that they need to slow down. What we're finding out is that yes, in construction, there's a lot of constraints when you have a construction zone, but what we're finding out is some of the accidents are speed related. And that's why we felt that enforcement was going to be the first thing we want to implement. So it's a matter of education. We're also, as far as education, our public information office has also undertaken an enhanced media and public outreach on social media, any other outlet we can reach. We're also planning to complete or perform that outreach not only in English but also translate to Spanish to reach more people.
Do you know how many more hours the CHP has been patrolling?
I don't have the specific, but I will get that information.
So how many hours were they patrolling before?
Yeah, I can get both sets of information.
So it'd be good to have some hard metrics to
Yes.
understand how we're actually enforcing the speed limit, because I don't know anybody who's on social media checking out the Caltrans webpage. Number one. Number two, I'd like to know who it was who thought that the original project design was a good idea, both at Caltrans and if there was local people. Because I got to tell you, if you asked any resident in Merced that they were going to endure this for a year, 2 years for a repaving project, I think I would have told you no thank you. This is abysmal. And that the fact that my colleagues had to sound the alarm before Caltrans decided there was a problem is another problem. This is not doing wonders for the model of efficiency that people think Caltrans is. And it's telling that your colleague went to black when I started asking pointed questions. I'd like to see some metrics very fast. How is this improving for the people of Merced? Who thought this was a good idea in the first place? And third question, how quickly are we going to have this plan in place and implemented? I need to communicate that to my constituents. Otherwise, the message is going to be that Caltrans doesn't know what they're doing, which is what everybody in Merced thinks right now.
What I am able to share with the board is that Caltrans, we're taking a hard look at how these projects are designed, how they are planned. One thing that I am what they call the single focal point for the district related to capital projects and the delivery of capital projects. We missed the boat on the engagement on this project. Our team developed what they believed was a run-of-the-mill pavement rehabilitation project, did not understand or realize the implications of the way the construction is being staged. It was not fully understood. And what we should have done, rather than request review at the end of our design phase, and that's just typical of our process, where we, once we have a completed set of plans, we'll coordinate with the city or the county to just go over the details. What we failed to do is do it a lot earlier, before we even had some preliminary plans, so that the team can fully understand what the implications will be. So that one, I have actually owned it to my boss, that we needed to do better, and that's our mission, is to do better. And that's why our team forced our team to get with MCAG, the county, city of Merced, to make sure moving forward is that not only are we communicating the information, but we're all on the same page, and then we have some form of concurrence.
Well, ma'am, I appreciate the fact that you own that. one final thought from me. It would be nice if, as you're planning and rethinking this project, can we please get on the freeway in the central part of Merced?
Central part of, take,
You know, can we maybe do some intermittent on-ramp, off-ramp closures as opposed to you got to go down to the Games or all the way down to Campus Parkway to get on the freeway? Somebody who commutes to Fresno quite a bit, I'd appreciate that.
I've got that down, sir.
Mr. Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? I will say something. I think a hard look at the plan doesn't really explain how you guys messed this up so bad. I'm just putting it out there. That doesn't explain anything to our constituents. I recently had to ask to make sure that the county was included on some of these planning meetings because it wasn't, our county staff wasn't involved. The city was. And that's not okay. So and it's all fine and dandy that we have these new buses and we're doing all that type of stuff. Fix 99. That's the bottom line. We can't wait any longer. It's not efficient. It's not safe. You can put a cop there every single stop sign or every single exit. It's not safe. It's not the speeding. It's the lanes are narrow. You can't drive it. So if you have to close it for 55 hours, close it for 55 hours. Just get it done. This is not acceptable. And really, you guys should be ashamed. So if there's nothing else, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now joined by Director Hogue and Nelson, so we can go back to number 2, which is item approval of the agenda. Do any of the directors or the executive director have any comments on the agenda? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Sammer, a second by Smith. Can I get a roll call vote because we have people on video or on Zoom?
Director Espinoza? Director Hogue?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
McDaniel, aye.
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Pereira? Director Silvera? Director Yanis?
Yes.
Chair Pedroso?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Item number 5 is information items, and these items are included for informational purposes and will not be presented by staff unless board members have a question. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none. Item number 6 is the consent calendar. We have 6 items. These items may be acted on with one vote unless specifically removed for separate consideration by a member of the board, a member of staff, or a member of the public. Do any of the directors have questions for staff? Are there any comments from the public? Any online? Okay. Is there a motion to take action on these items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Espinoza? Director Hogue?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
Daniel, aye.
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Pereira? Director Silvera? Director Yanis?
Yes.
Chair Pedroso?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. We now move into the Merced County Association of Governments action items. Item 7. These items will be presented one at a time by staff, and public comment will be available during the consideration of each item. 7A is a request to approve the proposed SB 125 project list and direct staff to develop and submit the required application package. Stacy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the I guess, part two of the first part of the conversation that started last month around the SB 125 funding that is being made available to MPOs, Metropolitan Planning Organizations like MCAG, to allocate to transit. Largely transit capital, zero emission capital related projects, but also some ability to operations. So if you, Mary Michael or Marissa, do we have the agenda up in any way, or can we get the agenda up? Sure, I'll keep talking. There's a slide on page 134 in particular that I was hoping to get up. So this item is essentially to ask for your direction or your action to give me direction to submit or to prepare the application that is required to allocate what projects these funds will be going to. MCAG is working with about $33 million. We, just as a reminder, are turning this around pretty quickly because the program guidelines were made available at the end of September, actually the 30th of September, and the application with the financial plan is due December 31st. So last month with the workshop and during the regular board meeting, I went through an overview of a variety of projects, 12 in particular, that total just shy of about $40 million, and there they are. That we would be using these, or propose to use this $33 million to help deliver. So the project list has not changed since that discussion with the board last month, both at the workshop and the regular meeting, but that was information only, being that it was the first time we would be discussing the item. Now we are seeking the board action to say, yes, please take this slate of projects, build your financial plan and your application to submit by the end of the calendar year, and there will be some iterative discussion as our application gets submitted, but this is what we would like to work with. So I'd be happy to review those projects again if there's interest on the board, or if there's any questions, particularly for the board members that were not here last month.
Okay, are there any questions?
Stacy, thank you for your presentation. I don't know if I should apologize, but as the alternate, you don't get to see the project flow. So if you answer these questions for everybody else, forgive me. We've got, by my count, $13 million for hydrogen pilot and infrastructure up there. Only $5 million, for example, for charging infrastructure. The 2.5 years that I spent on the CAC until a year ago, we talked a lot about building out the electric recharging infrastructure in Merced County. I guess my questions are foundational. What is the vision for hydrogen fueling? And number two, why are we putting our eggs in two alternative transportation fuel, so to speak, baskets? Why not putting all the money behind electricity, for example?
Good question. And I'm gonna hopefully not screw this up. So you guys just correct what I say wrong. But I'll tell you, if you ask me this on the street, this would be my answer to you without checking in with my team. TJPA, by law, we have to do an innovative clean transit plan. It's an ICT plan. It's required as a way to demonstrate how our system, what's the best fit for zero emission technologies for our system and how we operate. And then what would be the infrastructure and how would we get there? That plan is nearly complete. We've seen the draft. We're working on it. It just hasn't been finalized to come to this board. The Cliff's Notes version of that is that it's recommending a hybrid system for us, both because of the technology that exists for the types of services that we run. It also gives us the ability to invest in infrastructure that will assist with YARTs going zero emission, which it's largely understood that YARTs would likely be hydrogen because of the geography and the elevation change. Also, the question on battery electric is still still a question. I mean, I think I'll tell you, my frustrating part for me is us having to already be so down, and we're a little slower than some, but we're still ahead of what's required of us in terms of our schedule of having to transition over to zero emission. I'm frustrated that we have to do anything in terms of capital investment until the technologies are really ironed out and reliable. So this is what you see is not only what was recommended in our ICT plan, but the two eggs in one our eggs in two baskets is also, this is new technologies that we're testing on our services. They aren't new technologies to the industry, but they're still ever evolving and ever changing. And it would actually be for the purpose of not having all of our eggs in one basket, because that one basket bottom is a little shaky. So let's try them both. So I know try with these dollar amounts gives you a little bit of heartburn, like we shouldn't be trying with millions, but this is what dipping your toe looks like into what otherwise would be $40-50 million infrastructure investment. So Nav and Jose, you want to clean that up for me?
Ditto.
All right.
That's good.
No,
Thank you.
so on Shane, to your part, that $5.6 million is for infrastructure, and that 6.4 is to buy buses. So, and as Stacey said, the phrase "don't put all your eggs in one basket." Chair Pedroso went to a conference with us, and a lot of transit agencies are having issues with electric buses right now, right? Some like, I'll give you an example, Fresno, PG&E told them the infrastructure, electric grid cannot support their electric buses right now. So they are looking at alternative methods, right? And, we don't want to be in the same predicament. And plus, our geography we're a single transit throughout Merced County. So going from Merced to Los Banos or Turlock, electric bus only could do 2 or 3 trips before they have to be charged. Whereas a hydrogen bus, it goes further. And the turnaround time for charging a hydrogen bus is 45 minutes versus 4 hours. So there's a lot of pros and cons to, hydrogen versus electric. So that's, and the infrastructure, like I said, is $5.6 million for hydrogen station at our current facility.
And it also looks as though different fuel types or energy types will be better fitting for different fleet type. So let's say like a cutaway for like a microtransit, vehicle versus a coach bus for yachts, or the 40-footer for fixed route. So this is it. It really is an approach to try to make progress and try both technologies, but we're not doing it without having done the analysis and the research through the ICT plan to support it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not mine or I think this board's role to start evaluating technologies. If you guys are saying that as it exists in 2023, we can acknowledge that electric is not going to be our big lift transport vehicle. I'm not really hearing that we're sold on hydrogen yet. $13 million sounds like a lot to me, but if the state's going to do an ARPA funding dump for transit, why not? These aren't necessarily all local dollars, but I'm a little bit concerned that it takes $13 million of taxpayer money to try something out. I mean, I got to tell you, a hydrogen car came to my elementary school. I think it was in 1983 or 4. And I thought I'd be driving a hydrogen car by 2023, and it didn't happen. So, if you guys are reasonably certain, though, that this is a spend that will give us some infrastructure that can last and not just be like a pilot project that we end up mothballing, then I could be comfortable with it.
And to your point, we can pivot real quick because we're also putting electric infrastructure in as well for the buses as well. So we're doing both. We're doing electric and hydrogen at the same time.
Okay.
And just to the comment about the $13 million, I cannot recall, but was roughly the price tag in the ICT plan if we went, I think hydrogen has a heavier lift at the start, but the buses, the maintenance, the long-term cost is actually a better deal than battery. So there is a higher investment up front with hydrogen compared to battery electric, but over the lifespan of the buses and the maintenance costs and the battery replacements is a little bit better. But to the $13 million, I think the final price tag for the full build out, like
that, so it's 5.6 for
For the facility improvements.
and then the
Okay.
6.4 is for purchasing
Oh, that's right.
four buses, right? 4 buses.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
And it'd be 6.4 versus the battery electric, so it'd be about 4.5.
It's about a couple $100 difference between
Yeah.
battery
Okay.
electric. But then, talking about 45-minute fuel up versus 4 hours. And the range is longer on the hydrogen versus electric. And Chair Perdozo, if you don't mind chiming in, he went to a conference and he heard it from different transit agencies complaining about electric is not working. And so their San Joaquin Transit is going hydrogen, so is Stan RTA. You can look up their website. They actually released an RFP for a hydrogen station for their facility. So we let other people be the guinea pig. We're just piggyback off of what their
There you go.
faults.
That's been our plan.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, this is not really exactly, but this kind of goes along the same lines and more of a question than anything else for Stacy or for now. Usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not exactly sure of this, but if public dollars are used for electric charging, are those charging stations also made available for public for use?
So these chargers these are different chargers than vehicle chargers, right? So one of the bills that we're going to do is for the battery electric charging station. In front of our facility, we're going to put car chargers there too for people to use chargers.
For general public, correct?
Yeah. But we haven't decided if we're going to charge or not charge yet.
Okay, and then how about hydrogen? Because that's going to, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Nothing.
No, but I know that there is I think it's Toyota, somebody's trying to push hydrogen vehicles out there. They're going to be going all over the place. And one of the setbacks for hydrogen vehicles, general vehicles, is a lack of fueling facilities. And I was wondering if, I get electric will be different for buses than it is for private vehicles, or but is hydrogen any different, or is that all the same?
Hydrogen it depends on the compaction rate, right? So depending on the type of vehicle, there's different types of hydrogen, how much hydrogen goes into it, right? Like the ratio. So we haven't tapered into the general vehicles, but buses, depending on the size of the buses, we have 2 different types of pumps for those types of vehicles, for our transit vehicles, not our regular general vehicles. But we did look into, if you see on one of the items, let's see which one is it, the yards seed money, if we do decide to put a hydrogen station there, we're looking at opening it up to the public because it's easy access off the street. But then, like I said, then we go look at, are we going to charge because we incur the charge, or are we going to charge the customers? And so there's a lot of thought process into it, but the first step is, finalizing what we want to do with the dollars, and then we go into the actual design. But the one that goes into our facility, that's not going to be open to the public.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else? Okay. Anybody from the public? Are there anybody online? Okay. Then is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? Anybody second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Hope?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
McDaniel, aye?
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Yanes?
Yes.
Chair Pedroza?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. 7B is a request to authorize the executive director to amend the contract with Stan Tech Consulting Services to add $30,005 to develop and submit MCAG's allocation package as required under SB 125. Jose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We can leave that slide up. I think the 2 items go hand in hand. We just voted on the list. This item is to request action on to authorize our executive director to amend the current contract with Stantec Consultant Services in an amount of $30,000. This is to add scope and to develop MCAG submittal required under Senate Bill 125. A little bit of background on this item also. In February of this year, our executive director was authorized to enter into contract for the development of a zero-emission rollout plan for the Transit Joint Powers Authority. This plan was to guide staff on how to gradually transition to a 100% zero-emission bus fleet. And on September 30th of this year, the California State Transportation Agency, CalSTA, released guidelines for Senate Bill 125, which is 46 days ago. Guidance provides the following instruction to MCAG on the next steps for this funding. The requirements are for a detailed plan to access these funds for fiscal year 23 to 24. MCAG must submit a compiled transit operator data. This must include operator fleet and asset management plans, revenue collection methods, annual collection costs by operator, existing service plans and plan changes, expenditures on security and safety measures, plan on eliminating redundancies in services and improving coordination between different transit operators, and schedule data. Part 2 is determine whether funds that are given to us, the $33 million plus, will be applied to transit operations in either fiscal year 23 to 24 or prior to fiscal year 26 to 27. If no funds are applied to operations, then no further steps would be necessary. If they are to be applied to operations, then MCAG must submit a regional short-term financial plan. This is the big part of the packet. This financial plan must demonstrate how the region will address any operational deficit using all available funds through fiscal year 26 to 25 to 26. Justify how the region's funding is proposed to be allocated to capital and operational expenses. Justify the breakdown of how funding is distributed between transit operations among projects is consistent with their guidelines. Demonstrate how the plan mitigates service cuts, fare increases, layoffs to achieve short-term financial stability, and to summarize how the plan supports ridership improvement strategies. So the next steps is to develop the required submittal, and this submittal is to be due to CalSTA on December 31st of this year, which is 45 days from now. The package requires significant staff time of data collection, analysis of greenhouse gas emissions and on the proposed projects, and technical analysis on several program goals. With that being said, the proposed projects to be funded with the funding align very well with the work that Stantec's currently doing on projects identified in the zero emission rollout plan currently under development. So what staff is proposing is to amend the current contract with Stantec to add additional scope and funding, the $30,005, to allow their continued work in the field and to provide MCAG with the necessary technical support to develop and submit the required package that is due in 45 days to CalSTA. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions from the board.
Are there any questions? Anybody online? Any questions from the public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Director Hoag,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Aye.
Director McDaniel,
McDaniel, aye.
Director Samra,
Yes.
and Director Nagy,
Aye.
Director Nelson,
Yes.
Director Yanes,
Yes.
Chair Pedroso.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 7C is a request to adopt by resolution the 2024 Regional Transportation Improvement Program, including final appendices and minor technical changes. Elizabeth.
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you. So this item is regarding the 2024 Regional Transportation Improvement Program. Last month, we did have a presentation and discussion at the board level where we received direction to release the draft RTIP, as we call it, which includes a proposal to fund Atwater Merced Expressway. So a little bit of background there. This is prepared every 2 years statewide. It's a 5-year funding program. The Merced region is giving a target of new funding every 2 years. This time we are given about a $16.5 million target. And there are a couple of different options that you can do with those funds. Essentially, they're to program them on an existing project, a new project, or defer them to the future. And after discussions with our board and based on project criteria and the years of availability of these funds, this board directed to move forward with proposing to the Transportation Commission that we use our funds and add them to the Atwater Merced Expressway project that is already programmed at the state level. Process-wise, this was released for review. There was a public hearing that we had outside of the board meeting here. Once the board does approve the RTIP, it would go to the California Transportation Commission, and they would review it and thumbs up or thumbs down. So hopefully we would get the thumbs up. So that's kind of the next step there. Let's see, I would just mention as part of the action, I just mentioned cleaning up the appendices, and I think Marissa made a cool cover, so very minor changes after the board action if that's acceptable, and then it would be submitted to the state next month by the 15th of December. And I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, are there any questions? Darren. Darren, you have your hand up?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're pointing the other direction and not to the camera, so I didn't know that you were pointing to me.
I'm just pointing at the...
Actually, Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions, but I do support this. And at the end of the discussion, I would like to be the one making the motion for this to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Giannis, did you have a question?
I had a question. Isn't this fund usually broken up between the different agencies? Isn't it usually split up?
No, we have a lot of acronyms in our program. You might be thinking of RSTP. That's one that's typically split up, sometimes LTF, but this one is not. This is one that the state gives the region. We've had AME programmed for a few rounds. We've funded Pioneer once before. So this is not one of those that typically is.
Okay. And which phase is this going towards?
So this is for the Phase 1B. So right now, Phase 1B is funded with existing, we call it STIP funds or RTIP funds, and measure funds. Also, in this most recent implementation plan call for projects, which is actually the next item, the county submitted an application to move forward into Phase 2. So if the CTC approves this, the state funds would essentially be completing out Phase 1B, and we could use our measure money to complete Phase 2. So it's kind of, I see it as an offsetting of some of the measure funds that we have funded. Or we have already funding for AME so that they can move into the next phase, into Phase 2.
What is the total of Phase 1 or 1B and 2 dollar-wise?
Let me see. West Side. I'm looking up our sheet from the next one. This one's over 42 million just for Phase 1B.
Well, that's why I was asking, because Measure V's already supplied 36 million, according to the Measure V that we're going to adopt.
Let's see. No, I see the 36 there. I know. The amount that we have now is the 29.67 plus the additional 16, and that fully funds 1B.
Okay.
And then I understand that the phase 2 is about another approximately 16 million. After, that's what the most recent estimate we got. So the 42 and another 16, but that includes state and federal, or state and local funds.
Okay. And what are we looking as far as ETA, as far as completion of this, of phase 2?
So for 1B, the construction date to get authorization to go to construction is 2027. So it's still a little ways out. And then once it goes to construction, it would be at least a year in construction. And I'm not certain what the phase 2, the next part, the one part that goes east out to Bellevue, I'm not sure what that construction schedule is. Right now, environmental has really been kind of holding us up. So that is part of the reason why we have moved the project schedule back a couple of years, or why the county has moved it. But right now the schedule is that it would go out to bid in 2027, 28.
Thank you. I think this is a great project for Merced County and will be a boon to our business model, especially for the Atwater Castle, inland port and all that. So I think that's a great deal. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Stacy, did you?
Nope.
Okay.
I thought twice.
All right. Anybody else? Mr. McDaniel.
Are you asking for the motion at this time?
Yes, please.
I motion staff recommendation to move forward with this project.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. McDaniel, a second by Mr. Nagy. Please call the roll.
Director Hoag,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Aye.
Director McDaniel,
McDaniel, aye.
Director Samra,
Yes.
Director Nagy,
Aye.
Director Nelson,
Yes.
Director Yanes,
Yes.
Chair Pedroso.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Item 7D is a request to approve the Measure V West and East Regional Projects Committee's recommendations, direct staff to release a draft update to the Measure V implementation plan for public relief and schedule, I think that's public review.
Yeah, it was.
Public review and schedule public hearings and information sessions. Elizabeth.
Thank you. This item is regarding specifically the Regional Projects Fund in Measure V. So in Measure V, there is a set aside for the east and set aside for the west, 27% of the funds for the east side and 17% for the west. Every 2 years, the staff releases a call for projects for those funds as prescribed in the expenditure plan. This year we released a call for projects. We got applications back on August 31st. So the process after that has been where the technical staff at all of the agencies on the east and west side reviewed applications. We talked about, the status of projects and schedules and things like that. Then also the east side and west side regional projects committees, which are made of elected officials on the east and west sides, reviewed the project applications and the recommendations kind of made by the technical committees. So what you'll see in the handouts is a spreadsheet. The top half kind of reviews the revenues, both that we have received and that we expect to receive in the measure. And then there is a section on what projects are already programmed, what's been completed, et cetera, and recommendations for new projects. And across the bottom, you'll see kind of a running total. So these recommendations come to you from your regional project committees to this board. This board, the action requested today would be to approve the recommendations. And if that happens, then we would prepare the implementation plan and release it for public review. I also understand you could not approve the recommendations if there was a question or an issue, but they're presented to you as they are from the respective committees for your approval. And we would go out for about a 30-day public review with some hearings and plan to bring it back in January if all goes as planned. So happy to take any questions. And the AME project is very, very expensive, you're right, but you were making me sweat trying to remember how much it was, but it's in there.
I would move to approve.
Anybody from the public? In a second, please call the roll.
Director Hoag?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
Daniel, aye.
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Yanes?
Yes.
Chair Pedroso?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. There are no MCAG discussion items, so we will move on to the TJPA agenda. Item 9 is action items. These items will be presented one at a time by staff, and public comment will be available during the consideration of each item. Item 9A is a request to authorize the executive director to issue a purchase order for 58 fast fare fare boxes from Genfair in an amount not to exceed $1,500,996,595 NAV.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you is a purchase fast fare boxes from Genfair in an amount not to exceed $1.5 million. We have a current fleet of 68 buses. We're looking to purchase 58 fare boxes. Back in July of this year, during our budget process, this board did authorize staff with a budget allocation of $1.6 million to replace the fare boxes. Our current fare boxes are obsolete. As of December 22nd of 2022, they no longer carry those fare boxes. To get parts or anything related to that fare box, it's just hard now. I mean, if we were able to buy parts, it's double the cost or even triple. So the new fare boxes are, the new fare box, as Mr. Chair mentioned, the fast fare boxes are fast and accurate. They're fast when it comes to collection of the fare boxes. Sometimes the current fare boxes take a while to collect the fares or the tickets to be processed. These are faster. They're easy to integrate with their current fare boxes. The data management reporting they're upgraded from our old one. And then these fare boxes are more convenient. They have touchless collection now. Before, either you had to have a pass or you had to have cash. Now you can use an app to pay for your fare boxes on the buses once we get them installed. So the item for you today is to purchase 58 fast fare boxes not to exceed $1.5 million. That includes the purchase of fare boxes, installation, and 1 year's maintenance agreement with Genfair. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, you have 58, but there's 68 buses, so are there 10 that have new fare boxes?
Good question, Director Ho. So all the buses that we received right now came with the fast fare boxes.
And those were 10?
Yeah, we had 5 that came in with the electric buses, and then we had another 8 that came in with our our new buses that we just received the other day. So, yes. And then we got another 12 coming in with another order that you'll see an item next month.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. It seemed like there was a lot of associated costs with this.
Correct.
As far as, $10,000 for delivery and so forth.
Yep.
But I noticed there's some software. Is that a yearly cost?
It
the
is.
Software cost?
It is, and that's built into our operational cost. We will be bringing an item in next year to do a multi-year contract for this software.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? Anybody from the public? Nobody? Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Director Hoag?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
McDaniel, aye.
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Yanes?
Yes.
Chair Pedroso?
Yes.
We have a motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And we do have a quorum.
All right. Item 11 is action items. These items will be presented one at a time by staff, and public comment will be available during the consideration of each item. 11A is request to adopt fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 2 to reallocate $655,000 in unexpended funds from the Highway 59 flare upgrade and Billy Wright Cell 2C projects to the Highway 59 Phase 6B2 project. James.
Good afternoon, Chair Pedroza, board, members, staff, and public. Yes, this item is to reallocate some funds in our capital budget. We had some cost savings on a couple of projects, and on that particular project, the Highway 59 Phase 6B2 project was a project that was actually started about 24 months ago. Construction occurred mainly in 2022. We had quite a few delays on this project due to the excessive rain over the winter of 22-23, including some requirements from the State Water Control Board to implement a slurry wall to prevent water infiltration at the base of that cell. That delayed it again a few more months, and the associated construction management costs, we did have a cost overrun on that project, but we are funding it with savings from the other projects. And any other questions or?
Do you have any questions? Anybody from the public? Anybody online? Okay. Is there a motion?
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Ho?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director McDaniel?
Daniel, aye.
Director Samra?
Yes.
Director Nagy?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Yanes?
Yes.
Chair Pedrozo?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. 12A is discussion items. These items will be presented separately in order to allow board members to ask questions or to provide staff direction. 12A is the RWA Director Monthly Update from James Moore.
Thank you again, Chair. Yes, normally this is an information item, but this month I wanted to bring it to you. Honestly, I'm going to brag a little bit about our team out at RWA and what we've accomplished over the last, honestly, for them, it's been, the last year and a half. I've been there 10 months now. So I don't really take credit for this. It's the team that we have out there. They've done a fantastic job, and I'm going to throw some numbers at you to just really try to impress how much we're doing out there. Are we turned on? There we go. Okay, so over the last 12 months, we've completed a number of capital projects out there, including the Billy Wright Landfill Scale House improvements, which was the 2 new scales in the scale house, the Billy Wright Phase 2C module construction, the Highway 59 6B2 module construction, the Highway 59 landfill gas low NOx flare installation, and the Highway 59 landfill gas collection system expansion and Probe 45 remediation. Those 5 projects total a little over $14 million that we've completed this year. When we look at our ongoing capital projects, we're currently installing electrical power to the leachate collection system at Billy Wright. Previously, we've operated that system by generator power. It's been manpower intensive because we can't just walk away and leave the generators running. They run out of fuel, the tanks overflow, something going on like that. So we're putting in direct power to that system. We're in the process of replacing 3 groundwater monitoring wells at Highway 59 due to the dropping water table. We've had 3 wells that have gone dry. And then we've started the Phase 1 infrastructure improvements at Highway 59. That's a nearly $10 million project when we include construction management. That includes our new maintenance shop, our new indoor recyclable materials transfer station, our new fueling station, and our new household hazardous waste collection area. So we are very excited to have that project kicking off. We're talked with the contractor this week. We hope to have the final plans from the building manufacturers by the end of December so that we can submit the building permit applications to the county, and hopefully that will coincide with the manufacturing time on the buildings so that by the time it stops raining in the spring, I'm assuming it is going to rain. We'll have to wait a little while, but hopefully the buildings will arrive at about the same time we have all the approvals to pour the foundations and start installing them. We've got a number of other projects under design right now, including we got some help from the county. We hope to be rehabilitating Billy Wright Road from Highway 152 out to the entrance of the landfill. We came to you last month with a budget amendment to add some money. We're basically paying the overrun, anything above $500,000 up to $500,000. Right now they expect that project to cost about $800,000. And we are hopeful, if we don't get too much rain this weekend, that they can start that work the week after Thanksgiving. And they're telling us it's only going to take 3 or 4 days, so we'll see how that goes. The Highway 59 Landfill Administration Building, that's basically phase 2 of our infrastructure project. We're working on that design right now. We hope to be able to come back and put that out to bid early in the spring so that we can start construction in the summer. We're also working on a design for a leachate pond out at Billy Wright. Right now, we currently store all the leachate in 2 tanks, and we want to be able to have the pond for evaporation and additional storage capacity. We'll talk a little bit later about landfill capacity. I know it seems kind of soon that we just finished cell 2C out at Billy Wright, and we're talking about phase 3. That cell out there was a fairly small cell, had about 2.5 years worth of airspace, so we need to start designing the next area, and that will probably go under construction in 2025. And then I wanted to also mention, although it's really not a capital project because we're hoping the consultant or vendor is going to carry most of the cost, but we are still looking at a landfill gas to energy project. I have about 10 different firms right now that have expressed interest in it. We're honestly waiting to get some final details from our previous projects, that gas system expansion and the new flare. We've had some changes in the operation of our collection system that's affected the flow and the quality of gas that we're getting out. I mentioned earlier, part of that gas expansion system was the Probe 45 remediation efforts. For those of you that may not have known this, we have one probe on the east side of our property that shows some gas migration. It's from the old original cell 1-4 area of the landfill, which is unlined. So we believe we have some gas escaping out of the bottom of that cell and migrating to the east. Unfortunately, it's in a very discrete soil layer that's kind of a cobbly, very transmissive layer that dips and moves as we move east. So the project, we just put in 6 soil vapor extraction wells just to the east of the existing landfill cell and about 200 feet away from that probe. And unfortunately, we did not intersect that zone that the gas is moving through. So the consultant's working to figure out a way to specifically identify that soil lens and design a project that will allow us to capture that gas. So once we have that plan, we have to submit a work plan to Cal Recycle by December 15th. So we're hoping in the next few weeks to see that, and then we can start, setting aside whether we need to withhold some of the gas from the gas to energy project or if we can commit everything we're getting right now for that project. So more to come on that. Another item that we've been accomplishing over the last few months is an upgrade of our off-road fleet equipment, things such as compactors and dozers. Again here, over the last 6 months, we've received 4 new pieces of equipment, including that 636 compactor, the D8 dozer. We just got a 623 scraper a couple weeks ago. This board just last month approved that item. The board approved it on Thursday, and the scraper was delivered to us on Monday following. So it's already dirty. It doesn't look nice and clean anymore. Out at Billy Wright, we've added a 938 loader, and we still have a water wagon on order for Billy Wright. We're hoping to get that early in the spring. So again, a little over $5 million in fleet equipment that we've added. Now we're going to talk some numbers. For the fiscal year 22-23, we disposed of a little over 719,000 tons of waste. You can see the daily averages there at the two sites. Billy Wright runs about 60% of what we do at Highway 59, but between the two sites, we're doing almost 2,400 tons a day. And we'll look at that in a minute compared to what we've done over the last 4 or 5 years. In addition to the material that we dispose of by burying it, we have a number of waste streams that we divert from going into the landfill. Things like recyclables, your blue cans, cardboard, paper, plastic. We had almost 11,000 tons of that was brought into the site. We then load it back out into transfer trailers and send it out. In the case from Highway 59, it goes to the carts facility down in Fresno. The material that we get over at Billy Wright goes down to Mid-Valley in Kerman. Concrete, again, about 11,500 tons. Wood, almost 9,600 tons. Compost, green waste, last year we were operating that facility. We took in almost 14,000 tons. Out of that, we ended up finishing about 3,000 tons of compost, which we sold off. We just last week took away the last couple of truckloads of compost that we had on site. Now Agriman is handling all that, and we'll be talking about that in the next item. Metal and appliances, we divert all of that. It was almost 865 tons, and what just staggers me is over 13,000 individual items. Refrigerators, stoves, various other types of appliances. Ideally we don't bury those because first we take out the mercury or the freon or whatever's in them, and then we load out and sell the metal for scrap. In addition, we collected over 9,800 mattresses. There was a news article just this week, the Mattress Recycling Council here in California. I think the number they had was 10 million that they've collected since that program's been in place. So again, those are materials that we're avoiding from putting in the landfill. Used oil and antifreeze, about 5,400 gallons. Batteries, over 12,000 pounds. E-waste, TVs and computers, again, 57, almost 58 tons of that material. And tires, 421 tons, or over 13,000 tires. And what I want to really stress on these waste streams is typically we're handling this material twice because it comes into the site and then we load it back out after it's been processed to send it away. So, when we look at that 700,000 tons that we buried, then I also want to look at what we're doing with all these additional materials. So, and I'm not sure what's going to be next on the state's list, but I'm sure there's going to be something else that they'll tell us we can't bury any longer, and we'll have to have an alternative diversion method for it. Now we're going to talk total numbers, and this is, I think, just kind of staggering. I gave you that number earlier of about 719,000 tons in the last fiscal year. But if you look back to fiscal year 18-19, we were under 500,000. So over the 5 years, we've increased the amount we're disposing by 46%. The key fact I want to add about that was all done with the same staff we had 5 years ago. We've stretched them to the absolute limit. This previous budget year, we did add 2 positions at Highway 59, 1 equipment operator and 1 maintenance worker. So that's given us a little bit of breathing room, but if we continue to see these numbers go up, along with all these extra programs that the state's mandating, I'm probably gonna have to come back and ask for more staff. So just kind of a heads up on that. When we look at airspace calculations, as of September 30th, looks like we have just a little bit under 15 years of capacity left at Billy Wright. That takes us out until 2038. And at Highway 59, we've got about a little over 30 years of airspace, taking us into November of 2053. This agency has changed some over the last 25 years, from a county operation to being operated by the JPA. At the time, the last expansions were put forward in the late 99, early 2000 period. We did the sequel work that included the expansion at Billy Wright of phase 2 and 3, and at Highway 59, the cell 6 area to the north. So that's the last time we've done any long-term planning for those facilities. So when we look at what we have left now, Billy Wright, we're getting really close to having to start making some decisions as to how we are going to expand that site, if we are, or what the alternative is going to be. And that leads us into my last slide, where I want to talk about master planning for the facilities. When the JPA took over operation of the site, there was a consultant that came in, evaluated all the operations, made recommendations. Those were all put in place. At the time, there was about 50 years of capacity at Highway 59 and close to 30 years at Billy Wright. As those numbers have decreased over time, we're now in 2023, we need to start looking at what do we need to do in order to plan for the future. So there are several planning documents that haven't been updated in a few years. Since we are a single county JPA, the County Public Works Department is still responsible for the countywide integrated waste management plan and its components. There's things in there such as a siting element that describes where the landfill facilities are and how they're sized and things of that nature. In order for us to go forward with expansion plans, that siting plan and that integrated plan have to first be updated to reflect the potential areas we could expand into. So I had a meeting with Public Works this past Monday, and we're going to start working together to put together some plans to get those plans updated. Honestly, we at the RWA are going to have to help the county out a little bit on that because they just don't have the staff to develop that plan. So we're probably going to put out an RFP for a consultant to help us with that. Eventually that countywide integrated plan will be brought to the Board of Supervisors for approval, and that'll be one of the steps as we go through our master planning. In addition, as I said here, it's been over 9 years since the plans for Highway 59 were updated. That was the Valley Fill project. We're still, to be honest, that project is dependent on getting that probe 45 cleaned up. The state, Cal Recycle, is very reluctant to permit expansions at sites if you have perimeter migration of gas. So we need to accomplish that first. Again, just the recommendation is to go out and get a consultant to do a master plan review. They'll look at the existing facilities, determine our future capacity needs, and develop options for future disposal, whether that's horizontal expansion at the current facilities or the potential of siting a new facility somewhere in the county. And again, this is more than likely going to be a multi-year process. I'm thinking more along the line of 3 to 4 years. So over the next couple of years, we'll be coming back to you with recommendations for RFPs, consultant agreements, and to get going on this planning work. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do. Thank you. So, Mr. Moore, great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you also for highlighting the good work that your team has done. Before, I think, giving us a real picture of the challenges that you face for all of us. Just a couple of background questions. You mentioned that we're seeing an increase of 46% waste, 46% increase in the tonnage of waste in the last, was that 5 years since 2018? Is that, you're the expert, not me. Is that because of changes in consumer behavior? Is that because of growth in the area and people moving in? Where's the garbage coming from?
Little of all. There are some things occurring in California as far as landfill space. Over the years, we're seeing landfills reach capacity and close. At Billy Wright, to be honest, we get, out of the tonnage we're getting out there right now, about 45% of it is probably coming from over the hill, Gilroy, San Jose, Oakland, because they're priced out up there based on capacity. I was talking with a consultant yesterday that just did a rate study in the Bay Area. Their average tipping fees were anywhere from $85 a ton and up. And he emphasized the and up. Yeah. So, some of it is opportunity. We are looking, this board has discussed the fact that we do that importation. It's been a financial necessity because of the bond payments. We have 4 more years on those bond payments. But in conjunction with the jurisdictional tip fee increase that you approved earlier this year, we are also increasing those importation fees. Those are on an annual year-to-year contract. So as we renewed all of them this year, we increased them about 10%. We intend to do that each year. At some point, we'll hit the breaking point where the transportation cost on top of the tip fee makes it inefficient for them to bring us that waste, and we'll see some decrease. But honestly, right now, I think we've got a pretty wide range that we can still increase our tip fee for that importation, and we'll still see that waste coming in. The other side of that is that we are seeing growth. I don't know if any of you have seen the news stories the last couple of days. The state came out with some numbers. Population growth is continuing within the Central Valley. We're seeing losses on the coastline and in San Francisco and LA, but they showed some areas that still had positive growth, and Merced was one of them. Just a few weeks ago, the county board approved the University Community Plan, which was another 800 to 1,000 homes. There was also the project up in outside Hillmar, or not Hillmar, off Bradbury and 99, which was another 1,000 homes. So we still see some additional growth coming organically within the county, and that's going to contribute. And then the other statement you made about just other factors, COVID, some of the increases we saw in waste coming out of households because people were staying home all the time. They were having everything delivered to the house, and then all that waste is still coming out to us.
So have you looked at whether or not we really need the money from importation fees? I mean, should we make it so expensive that it's not worth to take other counties' garbage?
That's a possibility. There's competing interests there. One's the reduction in other capacity throughout the state.
Yeah.
Our neighbors to the east, Mariposa, Calaveras, they may not have the ability to maintain landfills on their own anymore. So there's a part where we kind of have to be a good neighbor if we have the excess capacity and we can handle it, and the income we get from it allows us to continue to expand. We're okay. I don't, right now, think we need to maintain it at the level we're at. Right now, we're bringing in about 45% of that 719,000 is coming from out of the county. So I do think we can decrease that number, potentially expand our capacity a little bit, or our life expectancy.
Do we have any garbage moving more than one county to get to us? Are we taking the Bay Area's trash?
We are taking some from San Jose and Oakland at Billy Wright. At Highway 59, we get trash from Tuolumne and Calaveras, some from Stanislaus, and some from Mariposa.
All right. Well, I mean, it seems to me we could right-size that. Plus, for a state that has climate control goals, trucking garbage probably isn't the best way to achieve that. Let me ask you a different question. How far away are we from actually being able to use our green waste and recycle that? We have a mandate to, I'm on the city council of Merced. We just approved a program, and forgive me if I get some facts wrong. We're gonna take a truck out and pick up garbage as if it's going to a recycling facility, but we're just gonna put it in the landfill, which that seems to be the dumbest thing to do to reduce greenhouse gases. But I mean, how far away are we from actually being able to divert that green waste from the landfill?
The green waste is not going into the landfill now. All the green waste that's coming in on the site is going to Agriment.
See, I say one wrong thing every meeting. I meant food waste.
Oh, food waste.
Please, tell me the truth. How far away is this?
6 weeks. And the next presentation we're going to have is talk about the expansion of the green waste facility at Highway 59. Part of that is an expansion. We have to change some things for them to introduce food waste into the compost stream at that site. What we're going to do beginning in January is food waste will be separated. The jurisdictions are being told to tell their customers to put the food waste in the green can in a plastic bag. They're going to manually pull those plastic bags out when it's dumped at our facility and ship it up to another facility, I believe in Elk Grove, that is currently permitted to use that food waste in their compost.
Okay.
Once we get the eventual build out and the aerated static pile facility at Highway 59, we'll be able to put that food waste in our compost there, and it'll be, obviously diverted from the landfill.
So that part's 6 weeks away, or separating out and setting at Del Grove is 6 weeks away?
Yes, that part's 6 weeks away.
Okay.
And that'll last for probably year and a half. Yeah, by the time we finish the CEQA and then construct a new facility on site.
Okay. You're the expert. The last question for me. Is there anything else you think we should be diverting to try to reduce the amount of stuff we put in the hole?
I don't want to step out too far in front of myself right now, but I do see some opportunity with construction and demolition debris. Under the state's green building code and the county's ordinance, contractors are supposed to recycle 70% of the material from their projects, but that's on a self-voucher system. They self-certify that they've done so. We don't have any facilities here in the county to process that C&D waste and separate it out. We were recently contacted by a commercial hauler that a contractor from the Bay Area, PG&E, is building a new warehouse on their facility out off Childs. And the contractor expected us to take all that material, separate it, and tell him how much we prevented from going in the landfill. And unfortunately, I had to tell him, we don't do that. If you send us a truck, we're just going to dump it and bury it. So, whether the eventual option is some sort of recycling or processing center at one of our facilities, or the encouragement of somebody else in the private sector to put in that type of facility. There's a number of them down in Fresno County that they accept all that C&D waste. They do sort it out, process it, recycle it, and divert it from the landfill. So there is an opportunity there.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Moore. I mean, to the extent we're looking at master planning, I think that'd be something I'd like to hear some more about.
Absolutely.
I do want to just add one thing to Director Smith's comments about importation, or maybe that wasn't mentioned, is I just want to underscore that while I often say that one of the rare times my worlds at this job converge is where I see our landfill operations and the diversion of waste and all the extra truck traffic and VMT that's being created on that side, when on this side of the hat I wear, I'm also charged with putting a long-term plan that's going to change people's behavior so that they reduce VMT. So it definitely, that's one where the right and left hands at the state not talking to each other. But to the point on importation, I just want to underscore that importation is what's allowed us to stabilize our own rates for as long as we have. I know we have a rate increase programmed, but that's important. But also previous board direction and the discussion has been that we're using that importation revenue to pay off our bond debt. And when that bond debt is paid off in 27, I always get this wrong. I always confuse it. 27. Patrick gave me a head shake.
Last
So
payment, yeah.
yeah, 27. Then as we get to that point, reassess with Ernest, like really look down at what do we need and what can we get, and be a lot, much more deliberate in our importation strategy. Whereas right now it helps pay the bond debt, stabilize our rates for the most part over the last 10 years, I think. But knowing that is coming to an end once our bond debt's paid off, and then we're going to be a lot pickier about what we take and what we charge for it.
Yeah. And to add what Stacy was saying, a lot of that importation has been what's allowed us to upgrade our fleet, complete these capital projects. We wouldn't have been able to do that without it. Yep.
Anything else? And we had this conversation a while back, I want to say, but in regards to what we were going to do, and to really look at that and not import, because we're just running out of room, but we have to because of the bond setup and everything. So it's something that we've talked about. Okay, anybody else? Anybody from the public? No? Okay, thank you. We'll go on to items 12B and C. These are a presentation and public hearing on the compost facility expansion project. We will start with the presentation and then go into the public hearing. And then once those are wrapped up, we will come back to the dais for any questions the directors might have. Patrick.
Hey, good afternoon. As James mentioned, we'll be expanding the compost facility, well, rather Agerman will be, to meet the needs for SB 1383 compliance. In order to do that, we have to update our environmental impact documents, and the first step is a scoping meeting. And so I'm going to step away and let Chris Munhank from Ascent take over and walk us through the project, and then it'll follow, a public hearing will follow, and then we'll close that hearing, and he can answer any of your questions. Chris.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Nice to see you. My name, again, is Chris Munhank from Ascent Environmental. We specialize in CEQA documentation and analysis, and actually worked on the former Valley Fill project EIR that was finalized in 2016. So today we're here to talk to you about a notice of preparation that's currently out for public review for a supplemental EIR to address changes to the Valley Fill project. I'm also going to provide some information on the elements of the project that James hinted at a little bit earlier. We're also going to open this up as a public forum where people could potentially offer up questions or comments as to what they would like to see in the environmental analysis moving forward. So first and foremost, the Valley Fill project, the Valley Fill EIR, was completed and certified by this board in May of 2016. As James mentioned, certain aspects have gone forward, but there are some lingering elements to the full implementation of that project that are still kind of waiting. So within that, though, we had talked about moving some components within the landfill, and the Valley Fill site is actually sort of the southern half, a little bit more than the southern half of the Highway 59 landfill. And moving some of the components, including composting, which is currently permitted for, I think, about 25,000 tons per year of green waste processing. So since that time, also in 2016 though, but now it's sort of got phased implementation, SB 1383, which is intended to reduce methane emissions, was passed by the legislature. And so this currently revised project is partly due to the authorities' need to respond to that and essentially increased green waste composting. Lastly, within CEQA guidelines, section 15163, there is the ability to go in and modify a project based on changes where you can focus your analysis and amend that former EIR to address the potential new or substantially different impacts, which is a lot of why we're here today. So really quickly, some of the project objectives, these are CEQA objectives that were tailored to the project. So what we are trying to do with these modifications are to provide additional compost capacity for a transformative organics diversion program within California in response to legislation, reducing methane emissions from landfills, modifying some of the processing that currently goes on to allow for increasing the ability to compost food waste and also additional green waste within the county, and also to enhance and make sure that the authority is able to comply with the requirements of SB 1383. Just a little bit of geography. Project location, Highway 59 landfill, a little bit north of where we are right now. The existing Highway 59 landfill property, this is a bit of an aerial diagram kind of showing where everything is. The sort of central portion of it is a wetland preserve with a lot of vernal pools. The historic disposal area that James mentioned earlier, phases 1 through 4 and phase 5 are more along the southern end, whereas phase 6 is kind of the northern portion of the landfill that I believe was added in about 2000. So the proposed modifications that we're looking to address with this supplemental EIR is to modify the current permitted capacity of the composting operation from 25,000 tons per year of green waste to 50,000 tons per year of green waste and food waste, and also allow for the potential storage of finished compost within the landfill property that would have otherwise been put into the hole, as someone said earlier. As part of this, though, because this is a little bit more diversion, we are not anticipating increases in the daily tonnage limits or the vehicle limits of the landfill at this time. As I kind of mentioned, if you can see the red line that's shown there, that was actually the Valley Fill project boundary. Where the modifications would take place are kind of in that cross-hatched area in the northern portion of the Valley Fill project site, but also within the central portion of the landfill. This is an existing disturbed area that is currently used for the composting activity. So as I mentioned, where we are in the CEQA process right now, the notice of preparation was issued on November 1st. We are at the scoping meeting today. Our next step is to finish off that draft supplemental EIR, which will be issued for a 45-day public review period. We'll be back in front of you again at that point, a little bit after the turn of the year, for a public hearing, and then also presenting the final supplemental EIR for your consideration and potential certification of that EIR, and then ultimately a project decision. The issue areas, the CEQA issue areas that we are going to get into, due to the potential expansion of the composting operation, we are going to look at, and these are not the full list of CEQA issue areas available under CEQA, but for a supplemental EIR, we're allowed to tailor it to where there might be new or different impacts. We are going to look at air quality, biological resources, especially since we're near that wetland preserve area, cultural resources and tribal culture resources, which is new, kind of since we did that original Valley Fill EIR, energy, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, transportation, and then growth inducement, and of course cumulative impacts, where our project in and of itself might not be cumulatively considerable, but we look at other development and other projects in the area. A little bit more on the timeline. As I already mentioned, I won't go into these in too much depth, but you should be seeing this EIR back in front of you for certification before the end of the summer next year. So for members of the public that might be listening in at home or in the audience, we are accepting comments through November 30th. Those should be addressed to Patrick Womble. His contact information is there, as well as his phone number and email address. We do have some comment sheets in the back of the room if folks would like to write comments rather than offer them verbally, but at this point that kind of concludes my presentation, and if we could open it up for public comments and then close that and then offer up any questions from the board, that would be great.
All right. So item 12C is a public hearing regarding the expansion of the current green waste composting facility and development and operation of a covered aerated status pile green waste and food waste compost facility in the Highway 59 landfill. Patrick, do you have anything else to present before we open the public hearing?
No.
Good answer. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the expansion of the green waste composting facility at Highway 59 at 4:42 p.m. That was nice.
That was Chris.
Are there any members of the public in the room or online that would like to provide comments? Okay.
Storm diet.
Oh, I didn't. Did I mention the time? Okay. Okay, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing. The time is 4:42. With the public hearing, we'll go back to the dais. Do any directors have any questions for Patrick about the project? Okay. So, doesn't look like anybody online or any of the public?
Yeah.
So then we're done, right?
We're done. Move on to.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, item 13 is the executive director's report. Stacy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of quick updates, but before I do that, I'm hoping that Elizabeth just gave Ray more of a heads up than what she just leaned over and told him. Okay, you just told him. I did want to invite Ray up. Ray Ma is our new senior planner. He has an impressive background that I'm not going to be able to get right and do justice. So if you don't mind, I'd like to give him a minute to just introduce him. We're really lucky to have him, and you've been with us now for 3 weeks? Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Floor is yours, Ray.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Stacy, and good afternoon, members of the board. I'm Ray Ma. I recently just joined MCAG as a senior planner, and before I joined here, I was assistant professor in University of Alabama in Huntsville. My expertise is on transportation planning and transportation network modeling. So I'm here to hopefully to contribute my expertise to to deal with the even more sophisticated transportation modeling issues for this area with increasing population, employment, and facilities. So before I was an assistant professor in Alabama, I actually was a lecturer and a postdoc scholar in UC Davis. So I worked there with a couple of projects together with the Caltrans, National Center of Sustainable Transportation, and other agencies. So again, I'm very glad to working with you guys to deal with the transportation issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. See, it's a really impressive background, which I wouldn't have done justice. So thanks. So we're really excited. I think I've shared before that our planning team, which Elizabeth heads for the agency, is 9 positions, and we currently have 4. So they're small but mighty, and we're always recruiting. This is not unique to MCAG. It's COGS, MPOs up and down California are struggling to recruit. So we're very excited to have enticed Ray from Alabama, and especially with the work he's done in California already. So I do just want to mention on top of that I had mentioned, I think we had an item on last month's agenda about the rescission of the Highway 152 freeway agreement. I had discovered an opportunity in some of the research to develop a local alternative transportation improvement program, which called a LATIP. When we were in Sacramento in October, I had the opportunity to ask the CTC after doing some exploration with Caltrans. And since then, we've had several meetings now with Caltrans staff and with the CTC staff on being able to move forward to create a LATIP. And what that will do is, as Caltrans pursues the rescission of the freeway agreement for the portion of 152 between Highway 59 and essentially Santa Fe grade, so just to the west side of before the city of Los Banos, it will remain an expressway, which is what it's built out as. And the properties that they had purchased for about 6 interchanges in that segment that would be full build out for the freeway would be available for sale. And once those properties go to sale, instead of those funds from the property sales no one quite knows where they would go back to other than to the state. Through a LATIP, if we're able to create one through the CTC, those funds would stay in a LATIP account specific to us and our region, and we have to develop a plan, which is what we're working on now, that also has to be approved by the CTC, that would allow us to accumulate those funds and then apply them to projects on that corridor that the rescission has affected. So it's not a lot of money. It should be just shy of about $2 million. It will probably be coming in as a trickle because these are not huge lots of property. They're a couple acres along the 152. But the end game or the end result is that those funds will stay in Merced County because those properties were purchased with the intention of improvements to a facility in Merced County. So if those facility improvements aren't going to be made, at least the revenue realized from the property sale will contribute to other improvements in Merced County. So excited about that. I will be bringing a resolution from the board. I'll probably put it on consent at this point since we've talked about this issue quite a bit, but it'll be on next month's agenda to get the resolution that Caltrans and CTC needs to be able to develop that LATIP. I do want to mention, I read the room during the 99 conversation because I also felt like it was a really important opportunity, most important, that Caltrans was hearing from you all. But I do just want to say that I appreciate the passion of our board in really advocating for the necessary changes that we needed to see on the 99 existing project for both safety and just the duration. But I do want to say that I also appreciate that Caltrans District 10 has been really responsive, and I think Grace said something today along the lines of, we were just moving forward with a run-of-the-mill rehab project. And I think that's really true. And I think it took a while to realize this was not a run-of-the-mill project. And so while I think they have a very difficult future between now and project completion in terms of needing the tunnel and figuring things out, I do appreciate, and I do want to underscore that they are at the table and they're trying to be creative in ways that I hadn't experienced before. So if that gives you any peace of mind in knowing that, trying to find solutions outside the box, trying to be responsive. We have the PIOs now with Caltrans in the county and the city of Merced, and likely CHP that are meeting and talking about tools to really educate or keep the local residents informed. That was my request, was that effort will really focus on making sure our local residents that are trying to come into town for their job in the morning know that if the lane isn't going to open till 7, you may want to take an alternate route or whatever those things may be. So it's not ideal. It is a mess. It's been a mess. But we'll try to be making the best of that mess and keeping progress going forward. And I think the biggest thing we can do is just help keep our residents informed so that they can avoid the headache and the safety issues for as long as that persists. So, and then lastly is we are resuming our end of the year open house this year. I know our board meeting is later this year than normal, but it, as always, will be immediately when this board meeting concludes, December 21st. We'll have holiday cheer and good appetizers and all the smart, smiling, bright faces of our team and their families and members of the community. So hope you can stop by and join us, and you'll get more information in an email I'll say right after Thanksgiving, one holiday at a time. And with that, I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to director's reports. We'll start with McDaniel.
Sorry to make everybody have to go through the roll call vote, but thank you. This was a good meeting. I'm here at California State Association of Counties, and I am to report that Supervisor Silvera was reelected to the executive committee for California State Association of Counties. Thank you.
Right on. Okay, Director Yanis?
I'll just make mine brief. First of all, thank you for all the information that we received today. And then again, just happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Just be what you're thankful for.
Thank you. Director Hogue?
I have nothing other than happy Thanksgiving. I am so looking forward to next week off. So enjoy your vacation. I am at 3:07 on Friday.
Thank you. Director Nelson?
No comments.
Director Nagy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome Dr. Ma. Welcome to the team. I know you'll be a great addition to the MCAG team. Welcome. And staff reports were stellar. Great job. A lot of information. And thank you for that. And happy Thanksgiving. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Director Smith?
I'll echo Director Nagy's welcome to Dr. Ma, and go Ags, by the way. And I have really nothing to report. I always appreciate the chance to come up here. I know I ask a lot of questions. It's kind of more my style. I said what I had to say earlier. I do want to add, though, that I think it's important that the bureaucracy and Caltrans hear what I'm hearing. Oh, yeah. And I got to tell you, it's communicated to me the way that I communicated it to Caltrans. And I thought that when that conversation started, there was not a true reflection of what our community is going through in their comments or their demeanor. And that really needs to change too. So thank you, Stacy, for all your hard work, and thank you to the team for all your information.
Director Samra? Okay, welcome to Dr. Ma. Thank you to the staff. I know that, was it last week at Dia de los Muertos that the bus was out And we won an award, didn't we?
Oh, we did. How could I forget?
Yeah. So do you guys want to say something
Yeah.
about that?
No, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the bus was out at several Halloween Dia de los Muertos events. City of Merced, Merced Police Department had their trunk or treat event where the bus won first place in decorations for the Dia de los Muertos theme. We took the same bus to the Halloween Fest in Los Banos. And then we're at the Mercado night on November 2nd, where the entire theme of the event was Dia de los Muertos. So excellent work by our public affairs team to make that happen. And it was just very exciting to see our zero emission bus be appreciated on a very fun community level.
We'll have our trophy on display at the open house.
We will have the trophy on display at the open house, yes.
No, I was really happy to see it out there, and it really, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but it looked really good. So thank you, everybody, for putting that together. I know that we just had Veterans Day, so thank you for everybody that participated, and thank you for the service members that we honored and recognized. And then I do want to say just really quickly, I know that I kind of got a little upset with the Caltrans people, but you know, had it not been for us really asking questions, I don't think that we would have gotten any information out of them or them doing anything about it. And so the fact that we're kind of now holding their feet to the fire is something that I think is important that we do. And I think it's just taken a long time, and I appreciate the fact that they are on it and they're looking at different ways to make this happen. It's not all of their fault, but a majority of it is. And I don't think that, again, had we not said something or been vocal with them, we would still be waiting for any of these changes to happen. So I just wanted to make up that point. Also, just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And with that, oh, did you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. All right. I will adjourn the meeting at 4:56. Thank you.